This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
Bienvenidas al podcast Dos Bold Latinas. Aquí están sus hosts, Jatna Abreu
y Josibel Madera Vialet, dos latinas feministas born in Santo Domingo y en New York.
Passionate about Latina empowerment, Spanglish,
learning, growth, and so much more.
Hola chicas, bienvenidas a nuestro episodio número 10.
Yes.
Wow, ya episodio número 10, octubre. Y estamos súper contentas porque ya casi se aproxima el final del año y en enero primero, ¿verdad que sí? En enero primero cumplimos un año de Dos Bold Latinas.
Sí, increíble.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Pero nada, en el día de hoy, el episodio que le tenemos para ustedes va a ser con respecto a los holidays. So, here comes the holidays. What do we do to get ready for the holidays? And so, mientras muchas personas alrededor del mundo se reúnen el 25 de diciembre to deck the halls and exchange gifts with their family and friends, Latinos celebration begin with, you know, kind of like before Christmas Day and sometimes lasts into the first week of January. And don't get us started on the size of our holiday parties and gatherings that we have. But before we jump into how we celebrate the holidays, let's talk about how we prepare for it and what kinds of things we start doing to celebrate en grande. So what do you think, Rosie? Like, what are some of the things we start doing to get us ready for the holidays?
Very good question, because I'm over here like, okay, do I talk about the good things or the stress that comes behind it?
I know, right? But I think it's always like, even with the stress that comes behind it, right? Because we're women, and usually because we are a woman, like everything falls into like
us, and it has to be perfect.
Exactly.
To make everyone happy.
I think at the end of the day, it's super exciting and just like rewarding to
definitely
spend.
We look forward to it. It's for example, we have Thanksgiving coming up, and definitely I know we're thankful every single day, but during that week, that night, it's like that time that we really take the time to go around the table and say, what are we thankful for? And it's like, I know for us as Latinas, most of us already have our Christmas tree up. So I know Jatna does.
Yeah, by then I do. I make it a point to ensure that if I am going to, put in all that effort into putting together my Christmas tree, it better be up for at least 2 months, because that was a lot of work. So it's starting to get there. It's like October 20 something, and it's already coming, and November is already next month, right? So I'm starting to prepare already. Like, I'm going to go shopping and get some things ready, because I really want to have my Christmas tree up for when we spend some time with the family for Thanksgiving.
Yes. And for me, Jatna knows I'm not so much as a decorator. Last year was the first time I made my own tree, and it was, like with the colors,
super cute.
The colors that I liked, not the colors that my son wanted. And so I'm starting to get into that. But to me, it's more of like the food, the music. And talking about food, it's okay. I'm going to focus first with Thanksgiving. It's interesting. In many of our families, it's, here in the United States, it's Turkey Day, El Día del Pavo. But many of us don't have a turkey on the table. And it was interesting. Jana's family is actually one of them. So, Jana, can you tell us a little bit of why and how is your experience as a Latina in the United States for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so for me and my family, we usually stay away from actually buying a turkey or cooking a turkey just because none of us really like the texture of the turkey. So we like to just basically very similar to what it would be for us like on Christmas night or Nochebuena, which we will get into that later. We cook just chicken and a pernil. We don't really do the whole turkey thing just because nobody's gonna eat it, so we just focus on just doing the chicken, all the other big stuff that a lot of Latinos do around the table. And I mean, I know that like American people have like other traditions, obviously, like the whole stuffing thing, and like there's other things that they do like around the table to prep for Thanksgiving that like as Latinos like we don't really do, but we still appreciate the time that we get together and that we get some time off and that we can spend time with like our family and friends.
Yes, and that's definitely my favorite part, because it's like, oh, it's like you're wetting your feet for December, because cuando llega diciembre, Jana, las pajarandas no paran. So I didn't have the privilege to grow up in DR, where I know many of us have the tradition de que hay parrandas y que en cada casa nos vamos reuniendo semanal en diferentes casas de nuestra familia. And I know we get like matching outfits or like colors, and everyone brings a dish. And here in the United States, I know that's something we usually just do like the day of Christmas. But in our country, it's like, llegó diciembre, es fiesta. Hasta después del Día de los Reyes. Mm-hmm. And like the music in my car, Christmas music is on nonstop at work. And also, it's like the older the Christmas music, the more I like it. And como dominicana, como la música dominicana navideña, yo digo como que es la que más uno puede bailar, vamos a decir. Porque de que ponen a Johnny Ventura, a Mili Quesada, I mean, as soon as we hear volvió oldies. Juanita, llegó Juanita.
Oh my gosh, that's like the main one. Volvió Juanita y dijo que no volvía. That's like un classic.
Yes. Y, and Cascabel and all of that. But I want to hear more of Jatna, of how it was when she was growing up, of how they did it back in DR de que llegaba diciembre. ¿Qué hacían ustedes?
So, growing up in the DR, I think it's such a joy, because once we moved here to the, in the United States and came over, everything changed. And so we had to adapt to like everything that like was Americanized, right? Like everything was American, and everything like the 25th, like, the giving gifts on the 25th y todo eso. Like over there, growing up over there, like we would, I lived in la capital, so yo nací en Santo Domingo. And my mom is from Higüey, from a place called Boca de Yuma. And then my dad's from Constanza, La Vega. So like more up north in the DR. And every Christmas, my parents would kind of like take turns. And so they would send my siblings and I to either Constanza, like un Christmas, y después to Higüey the next Christmas. And so we would spend it with our families there. And básicamente, like we would go, because, we have like that winter break, which they do in the DR as well. And we would just go and spend time with our family. And it was so, like, my grandma's house, like, to this point, like, when I go, I'm like, I don't even know how we were able to fit those people in my grandma's house, because it's such a small house. But the house was pretty much packed of people. And, like, for the entire, I want to say, like, from the 23rd through the 29th, we had a lot of people at the house, and like people sleeping over, and like we would just figure it out and how we would arrange that. But it was always such a pleasure to have so many people that like your family, like your tíos, your tías, your primos, and like spend that time with them. And that Dia de Nochebuena specifically, like we would, all that food, all that music, it was so like so much fun. And actually going, like, then when we would go to Higüey, my grandma would we would have dinner, And then we would go to like other neighbors' house and have some like food there too, or bring some of the food that she had cooked. Like, and the thing is like the neighbors didn't really cook the same thing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you're bringing food to the neighbor that also cooked the same thing, but she would always say like, oh, eso no es lo que cuenta, you know, lo que cuenta que es like you coming over to that, you know, con tus amigos, and like it's just a tradition that you just whatever
like
you cook, compartir, like whatever you cook, you bring over to the neighbor's house, and so you know, vice versa, they do the same thing. So I don't think they actually saw the whole like, oh, but you know that the neighbor cooked the same thing. So they don't really see that. It's more about like, yeah, but it's, you know, that's just a tradition. We just interchange, you know, kind of like dishes, and like if someone didn't cook something, like you get to try that from someone else. So that was like the portion that like I loved the most, that actually changed when I came to the US, because everything is so different here, obviously. And I mean, you can talk about that. Like, how did you guys try to do it here? Even if you weren't like, obviously, and the DR was like because you grew up in New York. So how did you guys do it there?
Yeah, so when I lived in New York, it was, I laugh when Chana said, how did everyone fit in my grandma's house? So growing up, I thought I lived in this huge apartment. But when I went back, after I moved to Michigan, once my parents decided to sell that apartment, it was a studio. And I'm like, Mami, yo me hacía este apartamento enorme, because, you know, we're little. Yeah. Yo decía, and I would see pictures. I remember I would watch like video cassettes of recordings of parties we would have there, like for the holidays, and all the pictures, and I would hear my parents talk about it, and I'm like, how did all these people fit there? And it was true. And it's like, it was definitely the time that we all looked forward to being together, because it's like, even now as I'm older, growing up, I never went to DR for Christmas because I grew up, my parents are entrepreneurs, so they could never take time off for the holidays. So to me, I didn't grow up, que en diciembre entero de fiestas, I would see other people. But for our family, it was more of like, okay, we got to make the effort on those days. But definitely during the month, the food was different. De que llegaba diciembre, hay que estar haciendo los pasteles en hoja. Que si el chocolate caliente, que si el ponche, que los, ¿cómo que se llama ese dulce duro? Se me olvidó. Los turrones. Oh, yeah. So, es como que toda la comida es diferente en el mes. So that was something like definitely. I'm like, oh my gosh, ¿cuándo viene Navidad para comer pastel en hoja y para comer todas las cosas que, si somos de otros países, like muchos tamales. That's yes. Something. Y so hay ponche, como que le dicen don pompe, so hay ponche como que le echan el don, hay ponche que de fruta, que yes. Eso es otra cosa que uno saborea en estos tiempos. Pero ahora también me llevé un poquito a la comida, porque como que para mí la Navidad para mí es la comida y la música.
Y no obstante, Rosy, like la comida, it's like you said, like some of those things we're not used to eating like all year round. You only get to eat it.
We don't go out of our way to make it
because it's so much work. Exactly. So we only eat it during the holidays. So like a lot of us like really look forward to the holidays because you know you get to eat like, you know, your grandma's whatever, you know, food. And like the pastel en hojas, like me, I'm huge on pastel en hojas. Like I love them. I don't necessarily make them. Like I've helped other people make it, but I actually love like eating it from other people. So like if they put in the effort, you know, like I'm more than gladly we'll eat it. So like I'm huge on that. And I order them from like either like Rosy's parents, you know, place where they make them every year, and it's just like I'm always super excited because I always ask her like, oh, Rosy, are they making pasteles this year? Because I love them, and it's just something that like I always want to have around the holidays, like for the entire month of December, so I can, you know, like just eat it as much as I can, because I know it's not, you know, I'm not gonna have it again till the next year.
Yes. And I kind of went sideways, Jana's, but I was talking about of how growing up, I didn't go to the DR, but now that I'm married, my husband loves to go and spend the holidays from Montecristi, and he's from Montecristi, and where my family lives is in La Capital. And when you go back to your country, como if you're from the city, you typically see that everyone goes down to the country, pa'l campo. And that's one of the things, you know how Jana was saying, que it's also, everyone gathers and everyone's just go de casa en casa. What I have noticed cuando yo estoy en la capital, it's like, it's so many things to do out there, como the family just spreads out. Que todo el mundo tiene algo diferente que hacer. Pero cuando estamos en el campo, we're all together. And that's what I love about when I go back to DR. It's like, we're all together. And I could go in the summertime and have dinner with the family, but like what I have noticed is just so different. Como que el ambiente, the emotions are different when you're there for Christmas time.
Yes.
So that's why it's like we took that, like, I know it's October and we're talking about the holidays, but it feels like more than ever this year we really want to focus on what are the holidays about. But yo quiero seguir hablando un poquito ahora, como que now that we're moms, it's like, what memories are we building? And we grew up with some memories. So what memories are we building now with our kids for Christmas time before we get into New Year's and Dia de los Reyes? Pero I'm going to start out with music and food. We were talking about, I never grew up making gingerbread houses, but I love doing that with my son.
Yes, now that we're older and moms, it's like, and we know that it's also not a common tradition for, like, you know, our country specifically, or Latino countries. They don't really make that stuff. We picked up, you know, as Rosie is saying, like, we picked up some things that are more Americanized that they do that we still want to keep for our kids, even though we're both Dominicans, right? Like, our husbands are Dominicans, we're Dominicans, like, our parents are Dominicans. So, like, oh yeah, the whole Dominican culture, but our kids were born here. So we gotta try and make sure that they have a little bit of both worlds, where we can't just always, I guess, like, la palabra sería como inculcarle que, like, they can only do our traditional, like, our own stuff because we were born in the DR, right? Like, we don't want that for them. Like, yeah, we want them to experience our traditions, and we want to share that with them, and we want them to see where we were born and where we grew up and what were some of those traditions, but we also want them to have their own here and still get a little bit of what Americans do, because they're Americans too. So we got to make sure that we create our own memories with them now that we're here and they were born here. So what are some of those things, Rosie, that like you do with your kids that are like a new tradition for you as a mom that like now lives here and that your kids were born here?
Yeah, so I'm actually learning as I go with my son. And my sister-in-law, ella americana. So I'm learning a lot from her too. So I never really did the whole baking cookies for Christmas time. But now my son, you know, it's became a tradition that he goes over her house and they make cookies. I like doing the gingerbread more because, you know, it comes in a box.
It's super easy to just put together.
But now, you know, it's like now we drink hot chocolate during the year, but now it's like us
like more intentional.
Yes,
like, because
like he wants the marshmallows and he wants the blanket to watch Christmas movies.
I love it.
So it's like, and Jana, I don't want to steal. I know that you do the elf. You're gonna start doing the elf on the shelf.
Oh yes.
So guys, I'm guilty that I never knew what elf on the shelf was. But my son knew about it, and he saw it at the store, and he bought, and he made me buy it, which was after I hear more about it.
It's a little different than
he's not supposed to know where he comes from, but still, it's just amazing on the little things that I'm picking up. I'm like, this is something I didn't grow up with, and this is something I definitely want to make memories for him to pass on to his kids, and now also with my younger daughter. And it's like, as the older my kids get, it's like, oh, you know, Christmas is so much more about that day. It's like as soon as after like Thanksgiving comes after that, it's like we have to start planning every single day how we're going to make it special, how we're going to make it memorable. And with Elf on the Shelf, that's definitely one of them, because I know Jana's going to get super creative with that. Me, yo nada más lo movía de un cuarto a otro and sometimes leave a little note, but I'm going to have to get on Pinterest this year, definitely, to get ideas.
That's what I was telling Rosie, because so for Jebby, who's my son, like he just turned 4. So he's just now understanding the concept of certain things. So we're now introducing him to the Elf on the Shelf. And so he got it as a gift last Christmas. And so now I'm being super intentional to like, if he got that, we should probably make that like a, tradition for us where it's a little bit more American, but he can still have a little bit of that. And so I'm like, like Rosie said, like I'm going to be super creative because he doesn't really know the story behind it. So to be able to introduce it to him so that he, he remembers those things and that we made it fun and that, we have our own little traditions, even though, right, like there were not our own traditions, right? So we want to make sure they still have a little bit of that. And also, with that, we also want to make sure that we do a little bit of both because we don't want to like too much of the like, okay, because you were born here, you got to do everything that, everyone does here. Mm-hmm. Or like, oh, because like I said before, because we were born over there, we want to make sure you're super Dominican. Like we have to be honest, that's never going to happen. Our kids are never going to be as Dominican as we are. Let's be honest. But we can, mix it up a little bit and make sure that they still know some of our own traditions that we can share with them. Like El Dia de Reyes, right? Like that they don't really do that here because for American, the American holiday, like the 25th is more of the like, oh, that's where we give you the gifts. Like that's where you get your toys and things like that. And in the DR, it's not like that at all. Like it's just Navidad, it's just like we're just celebrating Christmas and that's pretty much it.
Nochebuena,
exactly. And it doesn't even happen on the 25th.
So that's something I was waiting to mention. It's like, fun fact, guys. When do you think that we have our Christmas dinner? Mm-hmm. It's el día 24, yeah. The 24th. The 25th, es calentado. Which versus everyone else,
they're doing it on the 25th. And they open up their presents and things like that. And that's something that we don't do in the DR. But it's something that we still want to keep for our children to be able, to be able to do here. So, other things that we do as well that are more on the Americanized, type of thing. It's like, for example, like for me, we do like Christmas cards. So we take pictures and we send it out to,
so cute,
to like our family and friends. And, that's something we don't really do in the DR, but it's something that I really enjoy doing. And I created that little tradition. And then we also take pictures on like Christmas Day where we, with pictures like Christmas PJs. And now it's been a tradition since Jerry was born. And I want to keep that for his own memory so he could keep like an entire collection of like, oh, since I was born up until like I don't know, 26 or whatever. Who knows? Mm-hmm. I hope he doesn't stay home till 26. But but what I'm saying is like he's gonna have all those years, like all those memories of like, oh, my family, we have pictures together every single Christmas day. And, and he can see the transition of him going from a baby to like all the way when he's like an adult. So that's something that I appreciate and I will want to continue to do just because, I want to make sure that he keeps those memories.
Yeah. And that's what I mean of like, as soon as the month hits, you always got to be doing something. So you got to be planning for the pictures and the Christmas cards and which day you're going to do the cookies, making the playlist for when you're baking the cookies, even the candles that you want to have at your house, how you want your house to smell. It's just everything. And it's like, those are the things that the holidays really are about. And I want to move a little bit more into the 31st and the 1st of, so the 31st of December, so New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Yeah.
For us is a whole nother party again.
It's like we have, that Christmas dinner that like usually people have, or like we just said, like we have
a big buffet.
The Nochebuena night, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty much that same dinner, but on the 31st as well.
Yes. People usually just think about, oh, we're going to drink and have a small, we go out to eat to a restaurant. Like here, I see a lot of people, that's what they do. No, it's like Christmas dinner all over again. And you gotta, and I know I grew up, tú tienes que estrenar la ropa.
Oh, yeah.
Like your clothes has to be on point. It has to be brand new. Everyone in your family.
Your house
Your
has to
house
be clean, spotless.
Impecable, yeah, porque el año tiene que... Tú no puedes recibir el año con esta casa sucia. So when I said like stress at the beginning, it was because of that. Like, because there's so much cooking and cleaning going on as soon as December comes, que it's insane.
And the
like,
fact that there's that I don't know, I call it a myth or whatever tradition, you know, we have as Dominicans, but the fact that we have to like work so hard to make our house like look spotless, and que nada te sucio, que todo lo baño te limpio, que toda la cama te hecha, que tú te usando ropa nueva from like your underwear,
yes,
to like your earrings, like everything needs to be brand new so that like the year comes in, like I don't know, there's this thing about like el año entre bien, que para que todo te vaya bien, and there's like this other traditions that we're gonna mention that we do on the 31st for that purpose too, that que el año entre bueno y que, you know, tengamos buena suerte en el nuevo año, which that didn't really happen for 2020 people. I mean, I don't know. Some of us did all of that and still wasn't a good year. So I don't know. We'll hope that 2021 it's a better one.
Yeah, let's see how it can turn that around. But it was out of our hands, and I was laughing because you say even our underwear, because that brings me back of que tú tienes que ponerte panty amarillo para que eso te traiga suerte en este año.
I think it depends of the, like, there's different colors.
Yeah, like que es rojo, que el amor.
El amor, like green, I think it's money.
Yeah.
So like depending on what you're looking for on that next year, like ese tiene que ser el color de tu panty, pero it needs to be brand new.
Yes. And the thing is that yellow sticks to my mind porque mami decía que ella para todos los años nuevos su mamá le ponía todo amarillo.
Oh, wow.
Que de la ropa, los panties, las medias, el lazo, que todo era amarillo. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Y otra cosa es de las 12 uvas. So, yo no sé, Jana, ¿eso es algo que se usa aquí en los Estados Unidos?
I'm not sure. I've always known that from my family, so maybe not.
Es una cosa loca que si tú no tienes tu vaso con tus 12 uvas,
y
para esperar las 12.
Y tu champaña, o tu sidra, you know, or whatever it is you're going to drink. Y ya cuando llega las 12 de la noche, ya el nuevo año, de que tú te comes la uva uno por una. Y pide
un deseo.
Y pide un deseo por cada. So, tú tienes 12 deseos y cada uva representa un deseo. So, tú te la comes, pide un deseo, te la comes y así sucesivamente. So, again, I don't know how accurate that is, you know, but we still do it just because, you know, like it makes our family happy, and it's a, you know, a really nice tradition that we grew up with. And it's just, you know, the fact that like that's a family, we're doing it together. It's what matters. And I think the other thing that another tradition
or myth,
I don't know, that we do too is that we grab the like empty luggage.
Oh, la maleta.
Lo de la maleta. So agarramos el empty luggage and then la bajamos a la sala and then la arrastramos por la casa completa. I think you have to do it 5 times if I'm not mistaken. And then like it means that you want to do that like a las 12 de la noche también, ya cuando llegue el nuevo año, because it means that it's going to bring you a lot of trips. You know, you're going to travel a lot next year if you do that. Like, I don't know. Again, we don't know if that's true, but it's just like for luck, right? Like just so if that's what you want to do next year, like you have to make sure that you do that, so that becomes like, you know, like se vuelva realidad or something. So that's another thing.
Yo lo que estoy aquí pensando es, Jana, de esas uvas, la maleta, que el color de los panties, put it on your vision board in January and it'll come true.
Yes, that's it. Oh my gosh, you just read my mind, because I was just like, you know what? The one thing that, like, and Rosie knows this because we've done it, like, yeah, you already done it twice with me. But, like, the one thing that I like to do, like she said, like, fine. Like, we do it because our family does it, and we want to make sure we're part of that. And it's fun, yeah.
The experience.
But I think if you really want to accomplish something, and we will, we'll probably have an episode specifically for this in enero. And how, you know, we create our own vision boards, and maybe we'll do some like recording of that and post some pictures for you guys, so as an inspiration. I feel like it's best if you just put together a vision board and just say, like, you know, these are the things I want to accomplish in 2021, because by you putting it on a board, it's more, you know, like, you know that you're gonna look at it every day and you're gonna say, oh, like I
It's
said I was gonna do this and I haven't done it, so I'm gonna get on that.
The universe now knows what you want.
It's a good reminder. Como que dice el dicho, like if you don't, you have to speak it into
existence.
Yeah. And then for us, it's like you have to put it on like something
in writing
where you can see it, so that it got, it actually happens. So like you remind yourself every day and you look at it and like, oh, I said I was gonna do this, but I haven't done it. But it gives you that motivation that like, you know what, before the end of the year I'm gonna complete that. So that's more our reality.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if that's like a millennial thing or who we are, but it's just like, to me it's more realistic when you do, when you put those goals into paper, into something, than just wishing for something to happen, which is pretty much what like all of this stuff is, like all these traditions that we have.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's something fun.
Yeah.
Que, ay, y las uvas. Ay, que, like, y que, like you said, la sidra, eso nunca falta. And que si lo panty, que si las ropa, it's fun, like to know that you're dressed up. Y después llega que el día primero. And that's a whole otra vez, todavía tienes que estar entrenando.
Yeah.
And tú estás calentando comida otra vez.
From 31st, yes.
Y realmente es mucha llamadera a las familias.
Felicitando a la gente. Que ¡Feliz Año Nuevo! ¡Happy New Year!
Yo sé que viviendo aquí, las líneas se saturan.
Sí.
Yo he tratado de llamar a la República Dominicana a las 12 y es imposible.
Y no solo eso, que cuando son las 12 de la noche aquí...
son la una ya.
Ya son la una ya, porque ya allá una hora en el invierno, como cambia la hora aquí, obviamente allá la hora no cambia. Entonces, cuando ya dan las 12 de la noche allá, la mayoría de ellos ya nos llaman a nosotros para felicitarnos cuando todavía nos falta una hora para que sea el año nuevo. Pero entonces es un poquito... Tú sabes, es un dilema cuando ya son las 12 y aquí todavía falta. Entonces ya la gente llamando back and forth and trying to communicate con la gente. Eso es una cosa que pasa like every 31st for sure. Even like I think I want to say like up until mid-end January, like la gente todavía se está diciendo Happy New Year. Like if you never saw someone,
Feliz año.
Exactamente.
Feliz año.
The first few weeks of January, like y tú no le pudiste decir Happy New Year, then you say that. Like, oh, Feliz Año Nuevo, like because you haven't seen that person. Like, yo te vi el año pasado, but like Feliz Año Nuevo. So like things like
que
that.
Yo no te veo desde el año pasado.
Like, wow, that was like last month.
Ha, ha, ha.
That's like an inside joke type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like things like that are, I don't know, like some cosa que like we really appreciate from our family to pass that down to us and for us to continue to do it. But like we said, we also like to create our own things for our kids to make sure they have their own traditions so that when they grow up, they can decide, what they want to do. If they want to continue to do a mix of what was taught to them through our, our Latinidad. Or if they want to create their own. Like, I would really love for my son to, to create his own traditions if he can. Because I don't want to, like, we're helping him to see that. And so that he understands, how that works and the whole thing about family and being family oriented. But like, I want him to, in the future, he can create his own traditions and invite me to be part of that.
Yes. And like, so my son, he's 7 and he already knows how to write, how to read. And he's super family oriented. Like, he loves family time. Like, summertime, he was so excited because we would go camping. And now for Christmas, I really do want to focus more on building those memories every single day. Like, I have tried little by little. And he's, like I said, he's been the one teaching me. But this year, I want him to write me a list per every day. What would he like to do? I know it kind of sounds intense, but we're at home now. And like, this is the best year now to start creating those
memories.
Yes. And those new habits. Like, what is it that you're going to do? What is it you're going to make it about? It's like this year, I know, reflection. New Year's is always reflection. But like, this is like overall, like, what is it that you want it to be? Like, Jana, the Abreu family. ¿Qué tú quieres que sea los diciembre para ti? Los Viale family, ¿qué tú quieres que sea la familia via Lit. And when people come into your home or they listen to you talk, what is it that it's like, because to me, like the holidays is like a feeling more than anything.
It's more of the time you spend with people and creating those memories than like actually spending money on unnecessary things or gifts and things like that, which we do have an episode coming up about that too. Probably, I think next month's episode, we're gonna talk about financial, like like your finances and the holidays and how we do that. Sharing our experiences to just so you guys get some tips and tricks on how we do it. But yeah, like it's more about this, spending the time with the family than just like spending money or whatever. Like we don't really see it as like Latinos are very family oriented. And so the whole thing about the parties and the gatherings and like, the music and all of that, like in the cooking, it's like because we want to spend time together.
Yep, that's what the cooking brings everyone together. Yes. And I mean, I know you're talking about gifts and all of that. And I just want to put that out there que in DR, the gifts are not given on the 25th. They're giving el Día de los Reyes, el día 6 de enero. I know we have mentioned this in past episodes of like, as a Dominican, what are your traditions? But that's something that Jan and I both have been teaching our kids is what does that mean? So I know when we're in DR, when does JB get his gifts, Jan? Now tell us a little bit about that.
Well, sometimes, so for us, because we still, like, my parents still live in the Dominican Republic, and I have a lot of family there still. Like, we try to go to DR, spend some of the holidays every other year if we can. So when we do happen to spend Christmas in the DR, we leave like the Christmas gifts under the tree for Jebby for when we come back from the DR. And so he gets them like, I don't know, like if we come back on January 4th or 5th or whatever, like then he gets them the day after we get back. And we explain to him that, like this was from our like Christmas in the US and this is your gift. But when we are in the Dominican Republic, like, I don't want him to expect that he's going to get a gift on the 25th because that's not our tradition over there. So from the DR, he's going to get, if he does get presents from people, like from our family and stuff, it's going to happen later. So more towards like January 6th, porque es el Día de los Reyes, los tres Reyes Magos, or right before we come home, just because, again, it's not a tradition to like give people gifts like on the 25th of December over there. And yeah, so we like to just explain to him like, so he understands the difference. Like, in the DR, we have this tradition. And so we want to make sure you understand that. And then in the US, like you still get your gifts as usual, like on the 25th, because that's just, we want to keep that for him. So how do you guys do it?
Yeah, so my mom gives the gifts on the 25th and my dad gives them on the 6th. So I mean my son loves that because he gets
two double, right?
Yeah. And I know in DR no se usa las roscas, like that bread, pero I mean now that I have more he compartido diferentes culturas. I really like that, que la rosca y que si le sale el muchacho, el bebé, que
oh, that's cute.
I've
heard of that, but I have never like done that.
Yeah, so every year now yo llevo una rosca a la casa y se hace chocolate caliente y haciendo eso, hot chocolate, y haciendo eso se abren los regalos.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
that's a really nice tradition. See, like that's something that it's not nor American or Dominican, but because you've shared and spent time with other cultures here, you picked up that and you said like, you know what? I like that. I'm going to do that with my son. So like, I think that's the beauty of, the holidays, that you're able to, and being like an adult and having a family, because you're able to pick and choose from all of those traditions, like around the world that you still want to like, try out. And hopefully like other people don't feel like we're, like trying to be, I don't know, like no disrespect or anything, but there's certain things that like I would love, like if people wanted to take some of our traditions, like I'll be more than happy to be like, oh, that's nice that you want to learn more and try those things out. So I hope other people don't get offended because we try to do those things, como tú estás diciendo, like it's not your tradition, but because I think it's Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Because the Mexican culture does it. and you like it, and you're like, you know, I see how people, like, it's still family time. Like, I want to incorporate that into my, you know, my own family tradition. So, like, I hope people don't take it, like, as an offense. It's more of a, like, you know, we like that, and we appreciate that you guys do that, because now, you know, it helps us build our own and create our own traditions too.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, other cultures do that, but that's the one con ese que yo he compartido. And that's something else. It's like, it doesn't have, I know we're talking about our experience, but I hope, like, you know, this inspires you to go out there and learn more about other cultures and what do they do, because we live in a diverse country. So, I mean, that makes it even more unique that you could go to someone else that has a different culture and you could enjoy. So vice versa. So with that said, John, I want to, like, wrap it up here and say, you know, last year I started doing videos, like, for the holidays, congratulating everyone. But this year I want to take it a step further. Like, time flies, and I know, like, during the pandemic we've been trying to stay in contact with our family, but I feel like myself, I have adapted to just being, like, this new normal, that I have kind of, like, stopped checking in with family and loved ones as much. So I was thinking this holidays, I really want to make more video calls. I really want to use technology to send gifts. Like, I know we said, oh, you know, sending gifts, but sending a small gesture of saying, hey, I'm here for you. And it doesn't have to be expensive, guys. It's just a gesture, because I know a lot of us have a financial burden, but get creative with what you do. Even, you know, those e-cards, you can send e-cards, and making a unique video and personalize it for each family, that special person, and it'll go a lot further than an expensive gift, because that was something I grew up with, que, oh, you got to give to everyone in the family, and it has to be an expensive gift, because then they're going to say, oh, well, that's cheap. But it's not about that, guys. I want to, like, really, we heard about all of this, and this is all exciting, and then we want to create a tradition for our kids. So let's really focus on what do we want to see in the future, reflect upon it, and let's start, you know, with Thanksgiving coming up, really being intentional of when we say we're thankful for something, putting into actions. Like, I really am thankful for this, so this is an action I'm going to take. So with that said, I hope you really enjoyed this episode and that you got into the Christmas spirits. I know I was telling Jatna que vamos a poner una musiquita navideña. If you guys see me, well, we'll probably take a picture of behind the scenes. I'm wearing, like, all red.
She's ready. It's not even Thanksgiving or Halloween, but she's ready for Christmas. So, ya saben.
Yeah, and it's así. That's another thing, is, like, the holidays. You get to dress up. I'm so looking forward. Like, for us Latinos, you're like, I'm getting dressed up, to be in my living room eat dinner. Yes,
that's, like,
I do my hair, my makeup, para sentarme en mi sala, pero yo tengo mi familia.
Exactly, and we take pictures, and that's all that matters.
Yes. So thank you, Jana, for sharing your experiences, because it really brought back to me, like, I didn't grow up over there, but it really brought back of what I hear my parents talking about it, and it really makes me reflect of, wait, we had to do Christmas caroling, lo que era antes aguinales. We had to bring it back to how it was when we grew up, because we have lost a lot of our traditions.
Yes.
So let's bring that back, ladies, to have a awesome, epic holidays. So enjoy it. Much love y abrazos. Ciao.
Nos vemos.